All right, continuing on here. Oh yeah, I was going to put a new material. So I'm going to hop out of Quadra for a second and turn off my live surface. Hop over to the Hypershade, and I'm going to add a blend. And then just right click. So this is selected. I don't actually left click this because otherwise it'll select it and deselect my geometry. So I've got my geometry selected, my high poly. I right click and go to assign material to selection, and now I get a little bit more of a shiny surface, and it's going to just help with determining what's going on here. So we'll turn live back on, grab the Retop and hit Quadra. And I'm just using this little trick where if I'm anywhere near the center line, rather than trying to guess exactly where the center line is, I just kind of, toe it, and then use snap to try to get Maya to do that work for me. So it looks like I grabbed the edge there rather than the vert. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge to get Quadra to understand specifically what verts you're trying to make happen. There we are. So we'll just help it out a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave this area alone for now. I might want to collapse this edge in a different scenario, but because I've got this big round thing here and I'm going to need it anyway, so I'll just hang on to it. And we'll just adjust this little point there. Alright, so this is a very round thing, and generally speaking, when I've got something that's very round like this, whoops, I prefer to use an actual cylinder rather than trying to get it exactly right. But it's like that's definitely going to be a cylinder because it's got this extruded edge there. But I think for this thing, well, let's just try it. If it looks bad, we'll redo it. Kind of go around, give it a reasonable... Yeah, no, this is a dumb idea. Go ahead and turn Quadra off. And I'm going to create a polygon primitive cylinder. And I'm going to use, for something like that, we'll do like 16 sides. And come over to the channel box, make sure my rotation is perfect. And this part requires a little bit of eyeballing. I'm going to turn my live surface off just so it doesn't, if I start messing with stuff, it doesn't get confused and start snapping, because that would completely remove the whole point of using a pre-existing piece of geometry. So I want to move the pivot so it's up here. So I just tap the insert key. On a Mac, it's something else. I'm going to tap the V key to turn on vertex snapping. You can see what's happening there. And then I'm just going to move the pivot to the vertex. And we'll come in a little bit. So I can see there's like a tiny bit of some strange, it's like we're not quite sitting perfectly on that surface. When you grab the blue ring, that's the camera's rotation. So you want to make sure that unless you are intentionally trying to rotate something according to where the camera is, like perpendicular to the camera, that you never touch it, because it can definitely give you some trouble. So, you know, again, it's just got to be close enough, and I think that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and temporarily hide this. I want to add an edge loop. There's a few ways to do it. I'll just go to Edit Mesh. Where is it? Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. Throw it in there, tap the Enter key. We'll show our original. I'm going to grab that edge and scale it a little bit. Whoops, I want to make sure it's a uniform. Oh, my pivot is somehow off. Fascinating. I'm going to just try, we'll do a freeze transform. So modify, freeze transformations, edit, delete by type history. And let me try that again. Okay. So now it's a consistent density. I don't really know what happened there. You probably will not see that same thing, but you never know. Sometimes the geometry just gets confused about itself. So freezing transforms and deleting history is generally a pretty solid solution. So here we've got basically exactly what I was looking for, which is nice, clean geometry. Let me hide it real quick. All right, so I'm actually going to add one more edge on the inside. It doesn't want to do it because these are all triangles. But I think if I select them all manually, in fact, there's a really easy way. You just go to Vertex, grab that vertex in the middle, go to Select, convert selection to edges, and it'll grab them all for you. And then you just go Mesh, Connect, and I can grab this edge, scale it out, and move it down. And then if I just grab this vertex there. So let me show you what I've got here, right? That's basically what I just made. And I want to make sure that all of these faces, again, if I just go to Vertex, select, convert selection to faces, I want to make sure everybody here is nice and flat. And I don't need any of that stuff. Now, because I built this thing without symmetry, probably get rid of some of these menus here. It clearly isn't going to show up on the other side there. So I might just go ahead and let's see. This is my geometry. This is my retop. So I've got all this construction history. I'm going to go Edit, Delete by Type History, Modify, Freeze Transformations. Although there are no transformations on it, it's not a bad idea. And then modify Center Pivot. So if I go ahead and do a Mesh Combine, and then Edit, Delete by Type History on that, I'm going to try a mirror operation. It usually doesn't work, but it's easy enough to do it by hand if it doesn't. Where is it? I know we're getting up to the edge of this video. I apologize for that, but this will not take too long, assuming I can find the mirror command. There we are. So let's just try it with the default settings. Look at that. Oh my god, it's a miracle. Cool, great. Okay, so now that's going to be on the other side, nice and symmetrical. And you can say Edit, Delete by Type History. Show this guy turn our live surface back on, and move on with our retop, having not had to do any manual grunty work with that cylindrical feature there. So yay. All right, see you in the next video.